so many things. I've seen so many things. South America, Colombia, Brazil, to Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, the República Dominicana, Thailand, the Philippines, Japan, Holland, Romania. I've seen a lot of things, and most importantly, I've seen the way a lot of people live. You know, being in America, as many know, from a opportunity standpoint, financial standpoint, is a blessing in many ways. A lot of countries, people don't have the opportunity that Americans have. From opportunity for financial benefit, to education, to different opportunities to live throughout the country of the United States of America and the world. America has those things for you. Now, socially, Americans are fucked up, but excuse me, when it comes to opportunities, is all there, and that's what makes it, by some to many, is one of the best countries in the world. Not the best, because of the opportunities that it provides. That's why you hear a lot of immigrants say that. But I've seen, when I travel around the world, there's always a hot topic in America where a lot of the females, they think they're oppressed. Being a man to travel around the world, been to Africa, to Gambia, Tanzania, Kenya, one thing for certain is that Americans have a lot of opportunity, both men and women, to be more thankful for it, one could say. We all do, I believe. But when it comes to the women, one thing for certain, they are not the least protected. They are not the most downtrodden women on the planet. A lot of people have died and fought in wars and fought for equal rights and equal pay for women, for their daughters. A lot of unsung fathers out there, because this whole gynocentric view of men that's retarded and based in ego and deletion, some might say, and stupidity. But when I travel around the world, I see people out on the street and barely anything to eat and starving and unkempt, or doing things and lifestyles that's negative and destructive. And it makes you, it goes back full circle. Like I said in the beginning, all the blessings and opportunities that Americans have. But one of the things is that a lot of people, they do things that's not good for them overseas, because of maybe not having a good father in the house, or being very myopic in their viewpoint based off of everyone around them engaging in that kind of behavior, fornication, leading to an annihilation. So because of this, it breeds a volatile nature and mindset and attitude. When as a black man, understanding the history of the blacks that migrated from the west coast of Africa, going to Brazil, Colombia, the islands, the Caribbean islands, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the Greater Antilles, Mexico, even United States. It can be very sad to see a lot of sisters, a lot of black women engage in buffoonish behavior and egotistical behavior due to clearly terrible upbringing, or just plain old absentee fathers. I saw a lot of the women that I met in Africa and Brazil and Colombia, it was a lot of that, or their fathers are crap, and that's what leads them to what a lot of those countries are, kind of behavior that those countries are known for. That some people say passport bros go down for. And some of those women I met over my travels, and you look in their eyes and it's like, you might see somebody and like from a physical standpoint, it's like, wow, they're really freaking hot, right, or really attractive. But when you start looking in their eyes and you ask the questions that matter, you see you're dealing with a lost soul, a lost woman. And if you have any kind of debt to you, you tend to be like, what the hell brought them to this point? And when those questions get answered, then you kind of get a glimpse for that. Many of them are ashamed, obviously, to talk about what brings them to these kind of points, right? And and probably deep down inside, they don't want to live a lifestyle of debauchery and low frequency, but they feel that's all they know, or they feel that's the best thing to do, or they lazy sometimes. Some of the women that told me in the favelas and about these women, they're just plain lazy. I mean, they're young, they're prime, they can go work a job. They don't pay that well there. $400 a month's not a lot, and they feel that moving like that is a better way of living, even with the fact that it destroys their body and their spirituality, of course, because it kills the soul. Obviously, for a woman, unlike a man who can be out and about, and it's like exercise in many cases from a very reptilian standpoint. For a woman, however, even from a just purely reptilian standpoint, she needs about 8 to 9 months to conceive a child, because as her primary MO on the planet is to be the incubator for creation. And with that, emotions run deep as a life force from the Stargate enters into the new world. And with those emotions running deep, it's very necessary for her to, in order to have pure bliss and enjoyment in the physical engagements of sex, outside of just the physical, that there's a bond. She can pair bond, as the term is used. When a woman goes into a behavioral pattern where she's being entered in by multiple forces, it disables her ability to pair bond. And then also those men, some theorize from a scientific perspective, are still in her, fluid-wise. I mean, Frank. So when a person is dealing with these women, they are dealing with not just a woman, but the many other people that have interacted with her in that kind of physical realm. In regards to her, as stated earlier, it will mess with the person's spirituality and also their mind, and it will bring about a destructive path that's no good. And with this, it brings about other things, the children that she may or may not produce. Women or men, they go into some form of criminality, drug dealing, other stuff. And when men go to these places like Brazil or Colombia, and unfortunately now Costa Rica, which wasn't like that years ago, you may be entering into a trap. You may be dealing with things that you don't need to deal with and don't want to deal with. And it's not the best idea to, interact with these people, because women have pimps, they have other people that you need to be, you don't want to be dealing with. So, and then also from a standpoint as a black man, being a black man that descends from people from West Africa, people that migrated from, or lineage or connection rather, as sub-Saharan African descent, people that migrate from the Angola to Brazil, or from the Europa, the Igbo, the Songhai, the Mandenko, and then was spread to different parts of the Great Antilles, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, particularly in the Caribbean side, in Puerto Limon, and Jamaica, and United States. It gotta be something more to you than just wanting to get one off. You gotta see that there's a connection, and then to go and engage with the people in a way that's not productive. That even if you're in your lower state, you still gotta be like, man, maybe this isn't the best thing to be doing, right? And it also sets a bad precedent. It's a thing where, like, when you're in a position where you could do more and be more, you should be. And if you see like a woman doing something that she don't need to be doing, you should be trying to like encourage her to be better. You know, she's bilingual. Maybe she could be a teacher. You know, she could, you know, make money on the side. You know, the job doesn't pay that much, or she can, you know, do something like that. But to try to encourage her to want something more, not just, you know, go around giving people things and stuff like that. You know, encourage people. You know, you're smart. You can do better. You can do this. You can do that. And even though, like, you may want things a certain way, you may find that it turns out even better for you because you focus on elevating yourself, or elevating the person, and y'all both can elevate. I think for a lot of black people, they should think about that. You know, prior to going to these places like Brazil and so forth. It's one thing to brag about knocking down a bunch of women and, you know, so forth, especially with how you're doing it. But what about giving back to the youth in the favelas and Rochina or so forth? And I was in the carnival in February. You know, I walked around the carnival. I would see the brothers, you know, selling stuff, and it's clear that the black people were doing the menial jobs. You know, how can you ignore that? How can you ignore as a black person? You go on the beach in Copacabana and near Lebanon and Ipanema, you don't barely see any black people in a country where the people are over 50% black African. And you see like the black people get treated poorly. You see that the white Latinos are bigots. They're crazy. Not all of them. I met some cool people, especially some of the jiu-jitsu instructors. They were really nice. They were nicer than many of the white people here in the States and in Europe. But they still had this whole slave mentality. And there's a lot of empirical evidence on this. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds about it. You can Google what I just said. And unfortunately, it's going to pop up about the racial divide in Brazil. And don't always listen to like what a YouTuber says. If you go there, go boots on the ground, talk to the people. And most of them are going to tell you. Matter of fact, many of the light-skinned and white people are the ones that told me how racist their country was. A lot of people that come here, they may try to big their country up because, you know, national pride. But when you get boots on the ground, really deal with people in the trenches, a lot of times they'll be forthright and honest. For me, I've noticed mostly men are this way. Women tend to be pacifists planet-wide. They don't really want to address like real issues despite what they say. And that's because for a woman, it's all going to be about survival. So to address critical issues, it doesn't lead to survival, and then it also can lead to an emotional overload, which can be daunting for them, and therefore they don't really want to have this kind of conversation. So yeah, I mean, you know, really what I wanted to hit on about this video was, first of all, the privilege of it is being American. To be an American and traveling around the world, or to be a person from a Western society where, you know, you have more opportunity than others, you know, United States, Canada, UK, you know, you should take it as a responsibility to try to be a better person and not to focus so much on like just having fun, so to speak, but like giving back to the people. Like when you go to Africa, Kenya is a popular place. So you go back to Africa. It's cool to go out and party, go to Ibiza and so forth, but it's even better to go help out the youth, go help out the people that's struggling in the Kabira slums, for instance. Or when you see a brother, you trying to do some business, proper business, you know, help out, give a little extra, you know, give advice, so forth, things like that. And, you know, of course, protect yourself at all times, but not to come there with some elitist attitude or like, I'm better than you and you take what I give you and that's it. Because that's what the colonizer does. That's what the colonizer does planet-wide, with the torture device around their neck and the Bible on one hand, pretending to believe in a deity that tells them not to obsess over skin color. But they do it anyway because they feel that they can lie to the deity, lie to you, and they're going to believe them. You don't want to be like that. You want to be better than that. And what better way than to be a good example? Even when you start going to like the whole, you know, negativity yourself, you want to engage in the debauchery. Always ask yourself, like, you know, is this energy enriching or depleting? Is this going to benefit me or take away from me? You know, a lot of, like, a hot topic, you know, within the manosphere, particularly in the passport realm, passport bro realm, and then just also the male realm is like interactions with women, how to deal with them, and so forth. And for me, what cooler way to do that than for it to be genuine? If it's fake, if it's transactional, it's not real. It's bizarre, actually. It's very low frequency, and you gotta look at that and be like, is that what I want? I'm pretty sure if you're looking for something, better, you don't want to then go to another place, another country, and then engage in, tomfoolery that could lead to your death. Like the brother that was in Brazil, the multimillionaire. That brother didn't have to pay no girlfriend to be with him. He could have any black girl he want. He could have went to Barra de Juco and just walked around. Maybe instead of paying for a woman, why not just hire a brother to help show him around and introduce him to the nice clubs? I've done that a lot of times, especially in Africa, or in Latin America. In Colombia, I did it. That's how I met. I met a woman I was talking to in Medellin. It's like it may not be as sweet or as easy, but it can be more rewarding and well worth it. And I think that you also provide more of a safety blanket if of course you're vetting the person that you have show you around. But when you engage in behavior that is dicey, which anytime you're doing something like with a lady of the night is dicey, you run the risk of your life being ended, especially in these countries where the brothers are starving and so forth. You got to think about here, particularly on a person of color or a black person, from the American Indians that had their land stolen, and now currently 1% of the population living in the north part of the country, North Dakota, South Dakota, and many of the reservations are run down. Many of the people are alcoholics. And for the blacks of America, every time they would build something, some jealous white woman, she would lie about a black guy raping her or talking to her like Emmett Till. He didn't even bother the woman. She lied about him, whistling at her, and ended the boy's life. They would go around destroying people's town every time the black people try to do something. That's decade after decade. Then when the blacks got some opportunity, they started running with it, and so then they kind of started having an elitist attitude. And where did that all come from? Where did that mindset come from to where black women would want to have a physical altercation with a black man over stupid stuff? That came from being exposed to a lot of negativity, being exposed to a lot of disrespect. So the same goes with a place like Brazil, Colombia, where the black people are treated poorly. They go apply for a job, can't get it, and they overqualify. You think you're dealing with that? Imagine what they probably dealing with, And so then you, American, coming down there, and you got your elitist attitude, or you want to, buy people women, or you want to, you got this snarky attitude, and that's going to build resentment, man. That's going to build resentment, and for some at least, or they're going to try to take advantage, and it may or may not really end up that great for you, right? So take heed to that. There's other better ways of doing things. I mean, as a man, you're gonna have those sexual needs that definitely need to be taken care of. One way or the other, you could say. But why not let the other way be another way that's helping you become a better person, and then also helping the other people in a good way, in a positive way, in a way where they're not engaging in destructive behavior. And just try to remind yourself that if you ever think about being tempted to do something, think about that. Think about Samson and Delilah. Think about that story and what happened to Samson. Think about Scoplamina. Think about Colombia. Let those key terms run in your head. Think about the favelas or the unarmed killings of black men. Think about in Brazil and Rio de Janeiro, which happens more than in America, if I'm not mistaken. Think about how the blacks look into other things other than a woman. That's what I do, to keep myself safe. I never went to a favela because it's dangerous. It's the hood. You don't really want to, especially if you grew up in the hood or in a Section 8 housing or the projects, as they call it in my country. You don't want to go back to no environment like that. And then their projects and their hoods are way worse than anything I've seen in America. anything. I've been from where I'm from, in Baltimore to New York City, New Jersey, Philly, definitely Compton. I mean, Compton, they got houses. They got the, I didn't get a house until, I had no business as an adult. So it's like, it doesn't compare. So that's not something you really want to really interact with from a logical standpoint. And you'll learn that if you're not sure about talking to the locals. That's like a lot of that kept me safe in these countries. Like you see on my vlog, this vlog, Motivational Movements, one of the most amazing vlogs on YouTube. You see I'm going to countries like Colombia, the Philippines, or Brazil, or DR. Although DR had a little snack food there. And it wasn't in like a rough environment. It was with, one of the lower vultures of women that's there. And it wasn't for no debauchery thing. It's because she lied on me in the airport. And I talked about that on my video, Boycott the Dominican Republic. And I talk about that and then other reasons why brothers and black people in the African diaspora should stop going to Punta Cana and stop dealing with these black people who hate being black and then do disrespectful things to their cousins in Haiti. And literally, many of their cousins are from Haiti. Their grandmothers are Haitian, but they hate Haitians. And black people still keep going back there. But anyway, I digress. Nobody should go there, really. I even talked to Latin people that's way lighter skinned than me, and they didn't deal with racism, but one thing they noticed that the people were ignorant, and they spoke broken Spanish, and they was arrogant, So I don't see the point of dealing with the wannabe white people, aka the Dominican Republic. But anyway, other than that place, things I've done to keep safe, and that's because that's highly racist. That place is highly racist. There's racism in Colombia, Brazil, but it's not the level. Like, the people are more intelligent in Brazil and Colombia. I mean, I don't think there's really much disputing that, particularly Brazil. And even though it's racism in those countries, the people, they're more proud to be or identify black. Like, you'll deal with a red bone or a white woman, or seemingly white woman, and she'll admit that her grandmother or grandparents black. And DR, they'll be blacker than me, and they'll say, "Me no blackie." No, I'm not making this up. It's fucking hysterically sick. So that's why that helps, and why I don't deal with the issue so much in Colombia, Brazil. But the biggest thing is the fact that I listen to the locals. Not someone what the YouTubers say, just how you move. That's not clear, guys. I mean, that's not enough information to tell somebody it's all about how you move. You got to tell them exactly how to move. And you can do that in the vlog instead of talking about the pros you're buying. So, you can't trust everybody. You want to make sure you have somebody with you. You want to make sure you have somebody watching you, so forth. Needless to say, even though I didn't have a mishap or a snafu in Colombia and Brazil, based off of training I've had in other organizations I've been a part of, I even got to say Colombia is dicey. And there's certain things and ways that you move and reconnaissance training, frankly, that you know and learn. But even with all of that, I still got to say Colombia is dangerous. That's like very pretty women there, but that's, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs says that first thing you got to do is self-preservation, right? So no matter any of that, with the beauties, is some probably YouTubers say and so forth, it's not wise to go to a place like that. All right? So unless you're very, very cautious. If you want to, just be very, very cautious, though. You're going to need to be. But getting to know the locals, getting to know the people, and really looking at the people as a subject and an object can go far, and then it can also bridge the gap between misunderstandings that a lot of the locals there have between gringos or foreigners, and then also the locals themselves. This is a really, really important thing to know also, which is that you want to embrace the culture. It's one thing, like you see on this vlog, I'm going out to nightlife and party and so forth, but you also see me like going on tours and getting to know the culture, whereas in Thailand, getting to learn the history of Buddhism, or when I am going out to Taiwan, going food eatery tours, getting to learn the local cuisine, what's hot, what's not. You know, all those things are what makes a trip, a vacation, if you will, an adventure. And if you're only focused on one segment or something, you're only focusing on partying and girls or whatever, you're not really getting to learn the whole culture. And if you learn at least some of the culture, I mean, you're not going to learn all of the culture, right? Especially if you're not proficient in the language. If you learn some of it, it can help you to learn more, and it also help you in connecting, bridging the gap and connecting with others in a transparent and genuine way instead of a superficial and frankly long-term useless way. All right. Final point I want to say is this. When you see somebody needing help and you can help them in a constructive manner, why not do it? Why, you know, like as a black person, right? You go to Ghana, like a lot of African Americans go to Ghana, but they go there to belittle the Ghanaians. They go there to act like they better than the black people that's there. And the African Americans are the ones that got tossed on ships and brought overseas and like sardines on a package, in a boat, and were made to toll the land for hundreds of years. And to this day, they still don't really they get rights, but they still get treated like second-class citizens, especially the men, even by their own people. So instead of going there and really, really embracing the culture and some of them do, but many of them, when I went there, they at the W.B. Du Bois Museum holding their nose up at people and pretending that they're better than people and that they've overcame. You know, light-skinned black women still parading around with the delusional viewpoint that they're better than other black people because they're a recessive version of a black woman. Black men still going there with the yo, N-word attitude, like they're oppressed and like life is so bad for them. When any man that's traveled throughout the African diaspora knows that African Americans are the most overly privileged black, I shouldn't say overly, but privileged black people in all of the African diaspora. Literally, believe me, I am not making that up. Black people, if you're an African American, you got it a lot better than most of your brothers and sisters around the planet, especially as a black woman. So, especially as a black man, me coming back to this and seeing the black women pretend that they're oppressed is comical and it's ridiculous. Believe me. If you never had to go into the lake, the local lake, and get your water out the lake, or you never had to, you know, figure out how you gonna get your next meal and so forth, you're not the least protected. You're not down and out because you chose to get $50,000 student loan debt or $100,000 student loan debt, which many of you do, men and women. But more women, because more black women go to college. They make that, black women make that more of a priority than black men. So I say all that to say, man, count your blessings, man. You know, don't go back to the continent and then act like you're better than the black people. Just like a lot of Africans shouldn't think that black people should just be running America just because they're black. I mean, as a lot of Africans learn when they come to America, that people don't care about what tribe you are or what country you are. They just see that your skin color, and that's it. You know, any intelligent black person can see that, and they're not going to be tribalistic. If they were brought up tribalistic, they ain't going to be tribalistic in a sense, for lack of a better term, much longer. Because in the system of white supremacy, if you're black, especially in America, if you even got any black in you, you know, you're considered the N-word. So for African Americans, though, really they should count their blessings and give back. Why complain about racism and never go to the continent of Africa? And you can get, I mean, why go trick off in the Dominican Republic, helping out these wannabe white people who ain't white, who every Latin country I go to where the people are way lighter skinned and white, legitimately, and can pass, say the people are crazy or got mental issues. That's everyone. To include Brazil. And think about all the racial issues there. Why go around to the DR tricking off when you can go back to the motherland? You can go back to Senegal. You can go to You can go to the Gambia, help out the locals there, the local kids there, the local Islamic temples. You can go to, you can check out Nigeria. Why say, oh, you know, it's dangerous, I don't want to go. I mean, I'm like, have you looked at the news here? Have you looked at the news in some of those island countries that's popular, the DR, Colombia, right? Why can't you take one of those trips and say, you know what? I gotta find out, at least try to find out who I am. And what better way to do that than to go back to the continent, have some fun, maybe meet a nice woman there. Then also, you can help out. Because a lot of black people, they need their help. They need to help out, not just for the people that's there in the African country, like the Kibera slums in Kenya, but also to help themselves out, to see the symbiotic connection between themselves and the brothers and sisters back at home, and to see that this is much bigger than one, but that we're all right. That's all. Till next time, peace.